What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my tips on how to have a successful fat loss journey. My name is Neve, if you're new. I work as a psychiatric nurse and I'm currently taking my ACE personal training certificate and I am training for my very first bikini competition. I've been through many fat loss phases in the past. I want to share my tips to make this the most successful and enjoyable process for you. I am not a registered dietitian. I am not a doctor. If you are looking for detailed personal nutrition advice, make sure you're reaching out to a qualified health professional. In this video, I'll be talking about the basics of fat loss as well as sharing the practical information I have for you from my own experience as a person who lives a normal life, works a job, enjoys food, and wants to look and feel their best as much as possible. If someone were to come to me and say, how do I go about weight loss or fat loss? This is the information that I would give them. So number one is to increase your physical activity. Regardless of what your goals are, if you're wanting to lose fat, if you're wanting to get into better shape, physical activity is so important. You want to be getting enough aerobic exercise so that your heart is in good condition. So before I would suggest that you start cutting your calories, start tracking your macros, I think it's important that you establish a base of physical activity. If you're currently inactive, start with the goal of 3 days of 20 minutes of exercise every week. That could be 20 minutes of walking, it could be 20 minutes of biking, it could be 20 minutes of resistance training. Whatever the case, start by increasing your physical activity. So aim for 3 days to begin with. Ideally, we want to work up to around 3 to 5 days a week. I think a good basis to aim for is at least 2 days of resistance training, 5 days of cardiovascular activity. If you're not doing anything right now, start with 3 days of any form of physical activity and let that be where you begin this journey. Once you're in the habit of working out 3 days a week, then you can move on to the next points. Point number 2 is to make sure you are eating regularly. Stop skipping meals. Eat consistently throughout the day. Eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between. My best advice to help you avoid overindulging and overeating is making sure you are eating enough consistently throughout the day. So don't skip breakfast, don't eat a little baby lunch and then wonder why you're so hungry and you're overindulging in the evening. Or this also carries on, it accumulates. So if you underate all day today and then you overeat tomorrow and you wonder why you're so hungry and you can't stick to your calories, it's because you were undereating. Undereating leads to overeating and overindulging. So make sure you are eating regular, well-sized meals throughout the day. This should be at minimum breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think ideally though, most of us are probably eating 5 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, before bed snack. It takes a little bit of time, but before you need to think about your calories, before you need to think about certain food groups, just prioritize eating regular meals throughout the day. Your hunger is going to be so much more controlled. You're not going to feel the need to overeat so much when you are around indulgent foods because you're going to be satisfied. Your body is not going to be crying out for more food because you fueled it properly throughout the entire day. Once you are eating consistent meals, then we can talk about food quantity. We're going to address your calories. So there's so much conversation about calories. We know that you have to be eating less calories than you're taking in order to lose weight. And that's said again and again and again, but it can get confusing and it can be hard, especially in the beginning, to figure out where to even start. What's important is getting a rough idea of how many calories you're eating and having an idea of where you're starting and what direction you're going. The simplest way to find your maintenance calories is going to be to take your current body weight, multiply it by 15. That's going to give you a rough idea of what your maintenance calories are. This number is not a fixed number. This is not going to be an exact number. You're welcome to use other calculators online as well, but this is a great simple way to start. Once you establish this number, so you've taken your body weight, you multiply it by 15. Start by trying to eat that many calories a day and see how your body responds. If your weight is staying the same, fluctuating within a couple pounds every day, this is most likely your maintenance. If you're feeling like you can't even handle eating this many calories, maybe it's too many. And of course, if your weight starts dropping, then it's likely that you're in a deficit. But this is a good number to start with. Now that you know your maintenance calories, it's time to put yourself in that calorie deficit so that you're eating less than you need in order to lose weight. My recommendation is to reduce those maintenance calories by 10 to 30%. So multiply your maintenance calories by either 0.1 or 0.3 and subtract that number from the maintenance calories that you've already calculated. I'll kind of show an example on the screen and you can pause it and look at this just to get an idea. A 30% deficit is going to get you results faster, but it's going to be more aggressive. That means you'll probably feel hungrier. It's going to be more restrictive and harder to stick to. You're also going to risk losing more muscle mass the more aggressively you lose fat. Whereas a 10% calorie deficit is going to result in a slower weight loss, which is going to help protect the muscle mass that you have on your body. And it's also just going to feel easier to stick to. And you're not going to notice so much that you're in a deficit. I'm not going to tell you that one of these is better than the other. I always preach slow weight loss in terms of sustainability. However, I also have been at times where I just want to see the scale go down. I want things to start moving. And I find that sticking to the 10% sometimes can feel monotonous and it's hard to notice any significant changes. So I can understand wanting to start with a more aggressive approach. That's a decision you can kind of make for yourself, but I would stick in the 10 to 30% range. And I would make sure that you're adjusting this number as your body weight changes. So if you've lost 10 pounds, it's probably time to readjust what your maintenance calories are and then reestablish what your deficit is going to look like if you're planning to continue to lose weight. Food quantity on paper is all that really matters in order to lose weight. However, food quality is so important, and this is what's going to determine your ability to sustain the diet that you're following, as well as how you're going to feel while you're on a diet. My recommendation is to choose mostly whole foods and avoid any other extreme changes. So if you are putting yourself in a calorie deficit, now is not the time to start eating entirely plant-based if you weren't doing so ahead of time. It's not the time to stop eating carbs altogether if you weren't doing so prior to your diet. Avoid any drastic changes. Anything like this is going to make it harder to stick to your diet. It's also just going to make this less sustainable moving forward. When it comes to choosing whole foods, I know that this is a very vague term. Ideally, you want to try to have carbs, fat, protein in every meal. Or at the very least, you want to have protein plus either a carbohydrate or a fat source. This means most of your meals are going to consist of either an animal protein or a plant-based protein plus a carbohydrate, which could be rice, it could be bread, it could be pasta. You can use like a starchy potato as your carbohydrate, as well as fat. So fat ideally is going to come from non-animal fat sources. So we want to prioritize things like good seed oils, avocado oil, olive oil, as well as avocados themselves, nuts, and seeds. Ideally, you're aiming to create that balanced plate. Carbs, protein, fat. Veggies, fruits and veggies. Fruits and vegetables are a great source of nutrition. They're full of micronutrients. They're super important to include in your diet. However, they are not going to keep you full. They won't sustain you in between meals. So it's important that you're combining those with your protein, your other carb sources, your fat. Also, it's going to be easier to stick to a calorie deficit if you are eating mostly whole foods, meaning instead of, you could fit one cheeseburger into your calories, but then you could also fit a meal of rice, chicken, vegetables, some fruit and peanut butter on the side for the same amount of calories. So the foods that you're choosing are going to affect how full you're feeling and how satisfied you're feeling on your diet. When we talk about macronutrients, the queen of the macronutrients is definitely protein. Eat more protein. Unless you are someone who is tracking the amount of protein you're eating to the gram, you're probably under eating protein. When you are in a calorie deficit, the most important macronutrient is going to be your protein. Protein is going to prevent the loss of muscle mass while you're on a diet, as well as it's going to keep you full. It's going to help you feel satisfied. Whenever I am struggling to stick with my deficit calories, I look at how much protein I'm eating, and I often just increase the amount of protein. So as my calories go down, typically my protein is just getting higher and higher and higher. Protein sources are foods where protein is the greatest macronutrient. So the most macronutrient in the food should be protein. So obviously things like animal products, chicken breast, things like that are super high in protein. Egg whites are high in protein. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, all very high in protein. Peanut butter is not something that I consider a protein source. That is a fat source that happens to have protein in it. I don't expect that everybody is going to track the amount of protein they're eating to the gram throughout the day. So just try to make sure you are having protein with every single meal. Look up what some protein sources are. I'll include a list of common protein sources here as well, and just start adding them to every single meal. And yeah, it's gonna make it a lot easier to stick to your calories. Now it's time to actually start eating these calories and this food that's going to put you in a deficit and help you start losing weight. That means cooking and meal prepping. If this is something that is completely new to you, you have no cooking experience, you're used to eating out most of the time or primarily processed and ready to eat food, this is going to be a challenge and it's going to take practice for you to get used to. My recommendation is that you start by keeping it very simple. This might sound boring, but try to choose maybe 5 to 10 meals that you enjoy eating that meet your calorie goals that you can get comfortable preparing. The simpler these meals are, the easier it's going to be. A lot of my meals are rice, chicken, vegetable, rice, ground turkey, vegetable. They're very simple. For me, that's because I'm eating so frequently. I'm just eating foods that are simple for me to prepare. When I'm not eating on such a strict diet, I'll include things like burrito bowls or soups and stews and things like that. But when you're very first starting out, you want to keep it as simple as you can. So find a couple preparation methods that work for you and stick with them. If you're pressed for time, and the reality is that cooking and meal prep takes time. So you're pressed for time, you don't have the patience, you don't have the experience, choose the more convenient options. If you're used to spending money eating out, put some of that money into choosing the convenience items at the grocery store. So that can be pre-cooked proteins, microwavable rice packets, the pre-peeled garlic or the pre-peeled and chopped garlic, pre-chopped vegetables, washed and chopped fruit, whatever it needs to be to get you used to this routine and into this new habit. Also, there's lots of kitchen hacks that you can use, mandolin to chop your vegetables or the food processor. If you look those things up online, you can find easy ways to meal prep more quickly. So much of fat loss has nothing to do with calories, it has nothing to do with physical activity, and it has a lot to do with us personally, our behaviors, our lifestyle. All have a huge impact on how successful we are on a fat loss diet. Learning something new is hard. If you have no experience eating healthy, working out, going through a fat loss phase, it's going to be new to you, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be difficult. It is guaranteed that you are going to fail at some point in time. You're going to go off your diet, you're going to overeat, you might stop all of this together for a few weeks at a time. Whatever the case may be, it's expected that there's going to be times where you are not successful on this journey. That is normal. You're a human being. That's great. That's what's going to happen. I don't want to break the news to you right now, but you're not going to be perfect going forward. You can do your best to anticipate what the challenges are going to be and prepare for them, but still that does not mean you're not going to have off days and times where it doesn't go well. You have a bad day, you overeat. The best thing you can do is learn how to bounce back. Do not dwell on the fact that you went out to eat 3 nights in a row. There's no point feeling sorry for yourself. There's no point beating yourself up. Whatever happened is now in the past. All you can do is move forward. So practice getting back on track as quickly as you can. See how fast your turnover can be. You can try to learn from the experience, and I mean, I would encourage you to do so. Look at what triggered you for this to happen. Why did you go on track? How could you better prepare in the future? But you're never going to be 100% prepared. It's learning how to accept when things go wrong and move on. Give yourself a break, get over it, and get going. You don't need to wait till Monday. You don't need to wait till the next month. Start the next day. Eat your go-to breakfast. Eat it. Then eat a healthy lunch. Take it one meal at a time, one day at a time. Before you know it, you're back on track. You're making progress to your goals again. You want to keep it simple, but it has to be enjoyable to be sustainable. And nobody's diet is going to be exactly the same. What works for one person is never going to work for everyone. So I might be able to eat chicken, rice, and veggies most of the time and enjoy it, which the key to enjoying that is sauces, aka mustard. But you need to figure out how this process can be enjoyable for you. So it doesn't mean getting rid of, depriving yourself of every food you've ever eaten that you enjoy. It's finding that balance. How frequently can you indulge in the foods that you enjoy and still make progress? And how can you make the food that you're eating every day food that you enjoy? Healthy food should taste good. It does not have to be bland. You should want to eat it. You should enjoy your meals. Vegetables taste good. Find vegetables that you enjoy. Find recipes that you enjoy. Make this enjoyable. Yes, a fat loss phase is only a period of time, 3 months, 6 months. But after that, you have to then continue that lifestyle. You need to get out of the mindset that you're on a diet and off a diet. A diet is just a pathway to a certain goal, but once you get there, you have to continue those habits that brought you there in the first place. So it is necessary that you enjoy this process, you find ways to make it enjoyable if you want it to be sustainable. Which brings us to my last point, point number 10, maintenance. Fat loss is not over when you reach your target body weight, your target body composition, the physique that you're happy with. Maintenance is difficult, and it's the majority of the process. You can go through the 12 weeks, the 3 months to lose the fat, but then you still have the other 9 months of the year and the other years of your life. So fat loss is only the small part of it. And the hope here is that you followed these tips, you were able to achieve your fat loss. Now you don't need to keep yo-yoing. You don't want to go from one extreme to the other. When you're losing fat sustainably, it should get you out of that yo-yo dieting cycle. But in order to maintain the results that you've achieved, you have to keep up these habits that you've built. My guide to maintenance is simple. Keep eating regularly. Don't skip meals. Eat protein, stay active, and set goals. Your weight loss goal is done. Moving on. Now it's time to set another goal for your health and fitness. I think it's so important to have these personal goals to keep your motivation. That could be running a 5K. It could be learning rock climbing. It could be competing in bodybuilding. It could be going on a rafting trip, a whitewater rafting trip, hiking. It doesn't matter what it is. Try to set a goal. Set those goals effectively so that you can maintain the habits that you built now that this other fat loss goal is gone. This is going to help just keep you motivated and keep the process enjoyable. Your body weight might change. Your body composition will fluctuate. Don't be tied to that number on the scale to determine if you have been successful. Be open to building muscle, putting on some weight, and don't be resistant to the fact that maybe you will gain some fat because life has different seasons and it's okay to re-enter a fat loss phase if need be. But our goal overall is to be able to maintain the body that we've worked hard for by having a lifestyle that sustains that body and that fat loss. Those are all of my tips. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if there's anything else that you feel like has been super valuable for you in losing weight or just maintaining fat loss or just living a healthy lifestyle in general. Any tips and tricks you have, I think everybody would love to hear them, myself included. I'm also going to include a PDF in the description with all of this information just kind of in bullet point form so you can refer to it, just so you don't have to take your own notes. But that is all I have for today's video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know any of your thoughts in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it so I know, and please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you. If you want to follow along with my bikini prep journey, you can see that on my channel, as well as just more health and fitness content like this. You can also let me know any type of video that you're wanting to see. I would be happy to try and make it for you. I hope this video finds you at a good time in your week, and that moving forward, if it's not been a so great week, you can start to turn it around and make it a great week. But again, thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing week and just keep chasing after your goals. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.